Imagine this: a lone shaman standing at dawn, deep in the mist-veiled valleys of the Andes, breathing in rhythm with the rising sun. His chest expands, his breath audible, like the wind moving through ancient stone temples. Within moments, his mind transcends ordinary perception. He can see music, feel the future, and connect to the heartbeat of the earth itself. Modern science might call it an altered state of consciousness, but for his ancestors, it was the natural rhythm of life, a portal into wisdom, creativity, and deep intuition. Today, most of us have lost that connection. Our breathing is shallow, our thoughts scattered, and our creativity often blocked by anxiety and overstimulation. But what if a simple breathing practice, rooted in South American shamanic tradition, could restore this primal clarity? What if through breath, we could access the same mystical states once reserved for the initiated, unleashing boundless creative energy and insight? This is not a myth, nor a fantasy. Across centuries, shamans used the breath to cross the veil between the seen and unseen, to heal, to create, and to awaken the inner visionary. In this journey, you'll learn how to reclaim that power, to breathe as the ancients breathed, and unlock the mystic within. In the modern world, we often confuse stimulation with inspiration. Our phones flash with constant updates, our minds chase endless to-do lists, and our hearts race in response to invisible pressures. We live in an age of overexposure, information, noise, speed, and yet we wonder why creativity feels dim and intuition feels silent. The truth is, the creative flow that once felt natural now has to fight through layers of distraction and fatigue. Our breathing, shallow and hurried, mirrors the fragmented rhythm of our daily lives. Ancient shamans believed that when the breath becomes broken, the spirit becomes restless. They saw breath as the bridge between body and soul, between chaos and order. Modern science confirms this in unexpected ways. Chronic stress restricts diaphragmatic movement, reducing oxygen flow to the brain, dulling cognitive function, and even altering emotional regulation. Essentially, we suffocate our own insight. This disconnection doesn't only silence creativity, it fragments intuition. Intuition, that subtle whisper guiding us toward right action, depends on a calm nervous system and heightened awareness. When we're locked in fight or flight, intuition fades into the background. We become reactive rather than inspired. The problem, then, isn't that we've lost creativity. It's that we've forgotten how to access it. The path back isn't through more stimulation, but through returning to something primal, something ancient: the breath. Long before laboratories studied brainwaves or psychologists coined the term flow state, South American shamans had already discovered how to unlock the same creative frequency through ritualized breathing. In the high mountains of Peru, among the Quechua and Aymara people, breath was never just air. It was Sami, the sacred energy of life itself. To breathe consciously was to commune with Pachamama, the living earth, and align one's spirit with the rhythm of creation. The shaman's breath was his instrument of power. Through specific breathing cycles, deep, rhythmic, and intentional, he could enter trance states that opened the gates of perception. Within these altered states, visions emerged, songs were born, and healing insights flowed effortlessly. The shaman was not escaping reality. He was expanding it, touching layers of consciousness that ordinary awareness could not reach. This practice wasn't limited to ceremony. It was a way of living, a conversation between human and universe. Each inhale drew in the wisdom of nature. Each exhale released fear, ego, and illusion. The breath became both teacher and medicine. When the community faced imbalance, whether in body, spirit, or environment, the shaman would breathe for the people, invoking harmony through his own body as a living bridge. Today, we can reclaim this ancient method, not to imitate the rituals, but to rediscover their essence. By engaging in the South American shamanic breathing technique, we activate the same inner pathways of clarity, creativity, and connection that these elders cultivated for centuries. It is the simplest, yet most profound technology of transformation we possess, hidden in plain sight: our breath. Modern science, after centuries of skepticism, is beginning to confirm what the shamans of South America have always known. The breath is not just a biological necessity. It is a direct line to expanded awareness and enhanced creativity. When we breathe deeply and rhythmically, we alter the chemistry of the brain, shifting our neural state from survival to inspiration. This is not metaphorical. It is measurable. Let's start with the brain. Controlled breathing balances the ratio of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the blood, influencing the pH level and signaling the nervous system to relax. When the breath slows, the vagus nerve, often called the soul nerve, is stimulated, activating the parasympathetic system. This state, known as rest and digest, is where intuition and creativity thrive. Studies from neuroscience show that rhythmic breathing increases alpha and theta brainwaves, patterns associated with dreamlike imagery, artistic inspiration, and meditative calm. In these states, the brain begins to synchronize both hemispheres. Logic and imagination no longer compete. They collaborate. Problem-solving becomes more fluid. Patterns appear where chaos once ruled. And insight arrives not as forced thought, but as effortless knowing. Essentially, conscious breathing allows the brain to function as it was designed, to receive, not just to react. Moreover, this shift affects the entire body. Hormones like cortisol drop, while endorphins rise, generating a calm alertness often described as the creative high. Blood flow increases to the prefrontal cortex, enhancing focus and imagination simultaneously. This is the biological doorway to what shamans called the mystic state, a physiological foundation for spiritual experience. When science peers deeply into the breath, it finds what the ancients found through ritual, that awareness itself changes matter. Every inhale becomes a recalibration of the nervous system. Every exhale, a release of the mental debris clouding our vision. Through this rhythmic dance, creativity is no longer something we chase. It becomes the natural expression of our being. To the shaman, breath was never just oxygen, it was spirit. In the ancient cosmologies of South America, air carried cause, the sacred vitality that animates all living things. Every inhale was an act of receiving life from the cosmos. Every exhale, an offering back to it. This understanding transforms breathing from a mechanical act into a prayer, a conversation with creation itself. The spiritual interpretation of breath reaches far beyond metaphor. Shamans viewed the breath as the bridge between worlds, the physical and the invisible, the personal and the collective. When they entered deep states through controlled breathing, they believed they were traveling into the pneuma, the living field of consciousness that connects all beings. Here, the individual self dissolved, and what remained was pure awareness, unfiltered intuition, raw creativity, direct communion with the sacred. In shamanic language, this space was the realm of vision. Within it, one might encounter ancestral guides, animal spirits, or the elemental forces of nature. These were not hallucinations, but archetypal expressions of inner intelligence. The shaman didn't imagine them. He experienced them as facets of a vast, interconnected consciousness. To breathe deeply was to remember this truth, that the divine is not out there, but woven through every molecule of air entering our lungs. Interestingly, this mirrors teachings from other spiritual traditions. In Hinduism, prana means both breath and life energy. In Chinese philosophy, qi flows through every living form. The Incas spoke of sami, refined energy that elevates the spirit. Though the names differ, the principle is the same. Breath is the medium through which the human being aligns with the rhythm of the universe. So when a modern seeker practices South American shamanic breathing, they are not simply oxygenating their blood. They are remembering their sacred role as a participant in creation. Each breath becomes an act of alignment, a return to balance, a moment of remembering that the same energy animating the stars moves through their body right now. Before diving into the breathing sequence itself, preparation is essential. Shamans never began their work without setting the proper energetic and physical foundation. To them, breath was sacred, and to approach it casually would be like entering a temple without reverence. You, too, must treat this practice with intention. First, choose your setting wisely. Find a quiet space where you will not be interrupted for at least 20 minutes. Ideally, this space should feel alive, somewhere with natural light, a gentle breeze, or even a plant nearby. The shamanic tradition teaches that environment carries spirit. A clean, grounded atmosphere amplifies the depth of your experience. You might light a candle, burn a bit of sage or palo santo, or simply sit in stillness, sensing the energy of the room settle. Next, consider posture. Sit or lie down comfortably, with your spine aligned and your chest open. The spine is seen as the channel through which spiritual and energetic forces flow. Keeping it straight allows energy to move freely. If seated, rest your hands loosely on your knees, palms facing upward, a gesture of receptivity. Now, the mind. Modern seekers often rush into technique without presence. Before beginning, pause. Close your eyes. Bring awareness to your breath as it is now, shallow or deep, fast or slow. Observe without judgment. Then set your intention. Ask yourself why you are breathing today. Is it to release stress? To awaken creativity? To open intuition? Speak it silently or aloud. The breath will respond to your purpose. Finally, prepare to surrender. Shamanic breathing is not about control. It is about allowing. The breath will begin to guide you once you stop trying to master it. Trust that each inhale will draw in life, and each exhale will carry away what no longer serves. When you are ready, you will not just be performing a practice. You will be entering a sacred dialogue with the energy of existence itself. Now we enter the heart of this journey, the South American shamanic breathing technique itself. The method you are about to learn is an adaptation of traditional Andean and Amazonian practices, made safe and accessible for the modern practitioner. It works by guiding your body into rhythmic cycles of oxygen and energy flow that mirror the patterns used by ancient shamans to awaken inner vision and creativity. Begin seated or lying down. Close your eyes and bring full attention to your breath. Inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4. Feel the air move into your lower belly first. Then expand your ribs, and finally lift your chest. This full body inhale mimics how shamans breathe to draw life energy from the earth upward through the body. Now exhale through your mouth for a count of 6, releasing all tension, letting the sound of your breath carry away mental noise. Continue this 4 in, 6 out rhythm for about 3 minutes. This begins to calm the nervous system and prepare your body for deeper waves of energy. After those minutes, shift into the second phase, Inhale through the mouth, powerfully and continuously, with no pause between inhale and exhale. The breath should flow like a circular wave, one motion feeding the next. Imagine the air moving in a loop, in, out, without stopping. Keep this going for 2 to 3 minutes. You may feel tingling in your fingers or face, a sign that energy is awakening. Shamans describe this as the fire rising, your inner life force igniting. Next comes the peak. Inhale deeply through the nose, fill your lungs completely, and hold your breath. Feel the fullness of life within you. During this hold, bring your awareness to the space between your eyebrows, the intuitive center, and imagine a golden light expanding outward. Hold for as long as comfortable, then exhale slowly through the mouth with a sigh. As you exhale, imagine releasing everything that clouds your inner vision: doubt, fear, hesitation. Repeat this cycle 3 to 5 times. For the final phase, allow your breath to find its natural rhythm again. Breathe gently, as if being breathed by the universe itself. You may notice waves of warmth, visions, or a profound sense of peace. Stay here for several minutes, letting your consciousness integrate. Shamans often describe this phase as returning from the spirit world, carrying new insights home. Remember, this practice is not about intensity, but surrender. You are not forcing your breath. You are listening to it, writing it, merging with it. The technique opens the gates to higher awareness, but it also teaches humility, that the breath itself is the teacher, ancient and alive, guiding you toward remembrance of who you truly are. As the breathing deepens and you slip beyond the boundaries of ordinary awareness, something remarkable begins to happen. The chatter of the mind quiets, and in its place arises a vast, silent presence. You are no longer just a body inhaling air. You become the breath itself. This is what shamans call entering the mystic state. It is a consciousness where separation dissolves and perception expands beyond the limits of logic. In this state, creativity and intuition are not mental constructs, but living currents flowing through you. The first sensation many practitioners notice is vibration. It begins subtly, perhaps, as tingling in the hands or a pulsing in the chest, then gradually fills the body. In the shamanic tradition, this is the activation of Sami, refined life energy moving through dormant channels. With eyes closed, colors may dance behind the eyelids. Geometric patterns may swirl, or images from deep within the psyche may emerge. Some feel the presence of ancestral guides or nature spirits. Others experience spontaneous emotions, laughter, tears, or deep calm. Each of these is a release, an opening. Shamans believe this experience reveals the language of the spirit world. What you see or feel in this state often carries symbolic meaning rather than literal messages. A jaguar might represent courage, a river the flow of creativity, a mountain steadfast clarity. Your task is not to analyze, but to witness, allowing intuition to translate later in its own time. Scientifically, this mystic state correlates with the dominance of theta brainwaves, the same frequency range accessed during dreams or profound meditation. The boundary between the conscious and subconscious thins, allowing buried insights and forgotten memories to surface. The brain enters a state of heightened neuroplasticity, meaning that new connections, both neural and imaginative, can form effortlessly. What shamans call revelation, neuroscience calls integration. This is the moment when creativity blossoms. You are in direct contact with the wellspring of inspiration. Ideas arise not as thoughts, but as visions, melodies, sensations, a knowing that bypasses rational analysis. Some artists report entire works conceived in this space. Others receive subtle guidance about their path, relationships, or purpose. The mystic state is not about escaping reality, but expanding it. When you touch this inner dimension, you realize that intuition is not a rare gift, but your natural intelligence, once hidden beneath layers of noise. As you breathe into this realization, the boundary between self and universe fades. What remains is clarity, a still point from which creation effortlessly flows. When the experience begins to settle, the real work of integration begins. The shamanic state is not meant to be an escape into the mystical. It is a bridge between spirit and the everyday world. The purpose of entering such depth through breath is to bring something back: insight, clarity, healing, inspiration. Without integration, even the most profound experience becomes just another memory. After a session, remain still for a few minutes, keep your eyes closed, and notice what lingers. Maybe an image, a word, a feeling, or a physical sensation. Shamans believe that these lingering traces are the seeds of transformation. By acknowledging them, you water them. Then, slowly return to your normal breathing and let your body reawaken to the physical space around you. When you rise, it is wise to record what you experienced. Write, draw, or even speak your impressions aloud. The shamanic path values direct knowing, but expression anchors it into reality. Perhaps you saw a river flowing through mountains. Later, you may realize it symbolizes the creative energy moving through challenges in your life. Perhaps you felt a warmth in your heart. This may point to an emotional release you weren't conscious of. Interpretation is secondary. The act of noticing is primary. Science supports this process of integration. When insights surface during altered states, they activate neural pathways in the right hemisphere associated with intuition and imagery. Recording or reflecting afterward engages the left hemisphere, translating that intuition into structured understanding. The two hemispheres collaborate, exactly as they do during creative flow. What begins as a mystical experience thus becomes a neurological rewiring toward wholeness. Shamans often describe this balance as walking between worlds. You hold one foot in the visible, one in the invisible. The breath becomes the rhythm uniting them, reminding you that intuition and intellect are not enemies, but partners. When you breathe with awareness throughout your day, before a meeting, a creative session, or a difficult conversation, you reconnect with that same sacred rhythm discovered in ceremony. The more you integrate, the more you notice subtle synchronicities, ideas arriving at the right time, encounters that seem guided, effortless solutions emerging to complex problems. This is not magic in the fantastical sense. It is coherence. When your inner and outer worlds align, creativity flows like water finding its natural course. The breath becomes both compass and current, carrying you toward the expression of your highest potential. As you continue practicing the South American shamanic breathing technique, transformation begins to ripple through every aspect of your life. The benefits are both subtle and profound, spanning body, mind, and spirit. What was once theory becomes lived experience. Physically, your body becomes more balanced. Regular practice strengthens respiratory muscles, increases oxygenation, and improves circulation. Many notice that chronic fatigue fades, sleep deepens, and the immune system grows more resilient. The act of full, conscious breathing massages internal organs, especially the diaphragm and heart, creating a sense of vitality that caffeine or adrenaline can never replicate. As stress hormones decrease, your body shifts toward equilibrium, reminding you that health is the natural state when breath flows freely. Emotionally, the results are transformative. Deep rhythmic breathing releases stored emotions trapped in the body. Shamans say that unexpressed feelings become knots in the energy field. The breath unties them. Many practitioners report spontaneous tears, laughter, or feelings of liberation during or after sessions. Science affirms this. Controlled breathing lowers amygdala activity, reducing fear responses and emotional volatility. The result is a grounded calm, a quiet confidence that radiates outward. Mentally, creativity flourishes. You begin to notice that inspiration no longer comes in fits and starts. It becomes a continuous current. Artists, writers, and innovators have long used breathwork to access this zone. The shamanic rhythm synchronizes the brain's hemispheres, encouraging nonlinear thought and intuitive leaps. You start to perceive connections where none seemed to exist, and solutions arise naturally instead of through struggle. This is the same state that great inventors and visionaries have described, a blending of insight and surrender. Spiritually, something deeper awakens. The more you breathe consciously, the more you sense the invisible intelligence animating your life. Shamans call it the breath of the earth. Mystics call it spirit, and scientists might describe it as the unified field of energy. Whatever name you give it, the experience is unmistakable. You feel part of something vast, compassionate, and creative. Life itself begins to feel like a collaboration rather than a competition. Even your relationships change. As intuition strengthens, empathy expands. You begin to listen more deeply, to others, to your body, to the world around you. The same breath that connected ancient shamans to the elements connects you to those you love, helping you communicate with authenticity and peace. Ultimately, the benefits are not isolated experiences, but a gradual remembering of your original state. Clear, creative, connected. Each session of shamanic breathing leaves a residue of stillness that carries into daily life. You may notice that your reactions soften, your sense of wonder returns, and even mundane moments shimmer with quiet magic. Over time, this becomes your new baseline, inspired presence, the essence of what the shamans called living in harmony with the great breath of life. The real power of the South American shamanic breathing technique reveals itself not in a single session, but in how it becomes part of your daily rhythm. The shamans of the Andes and the Amazon did not separate spiritual practice from ordinary life. Breathing consciously was as natural to them as walking or eating. It was the invisible thread that connected ceremony with conversation, vision with action. When you bring this practice into your routine, it begins to weave the same harmony through every corner of your existence. Begin simply. Set aside 10 to 15 minutes each morning to practice. This can be a full session or a few rounds of conscious breathing. Over time, you may notice that your day begins differently. Thoughts are clearer, emotions steadier, intuition sharper. Morning breathwork aligns your internal rhythm with the pulse of nature. Shamans believe that dawn is when the veil between worlds is thinnest, when breath carries the greatest creative charge. Throughout the day, integrate micro moments of awareness. Before sending an email, taking a call, or making a decision, pause for one deep, intentional breath. This single act reconnects you to your center. It transforms reactive habits into deliberate choices. The goal is not to breathe perfectly all the time, but to remember that you can choose awareness at any moment. Each breath becomes a reset, a reminder that the sacred is never far away. Many practitioners find that journaling or creative expression after breathwork amplifies its benefits. Writing, drawing, dancing, or even quietly reflecting allows the intuitive messages of the session to crystallize into form. Shamans often sang or drummed after breathing, translating energy into sound. You can do the same in modern ways, through art, movement, or dialogue. What matters is the continuity between the mystical and the mundane. You might also incorporate elements of nature into your practice. Breathe outdoors when possible. Let your rhythm match the wind, the waves, or the sway of trees. The Andean shamans taught that the natural world is the original teacher. The earth itself breathes, exhaling mist in the morning, inhaling light at dusk. When you align your breath with hers, you remember your belonging. As weeks turn into months, subtle shifts accumulate. You begin to navigate challenges with more fluidity. Intuitive nudges guide your actions, and creative ideas appear without effort. Your body learns to regulate itself. Your mind learns to trust silence. The boundaries between meditation, work, and living blur, merging into one continuous practice of awareness. This is the essence of long-term integration, not escape, but embodiment. The shamanic breath becomes a way of being, a moving meditation, a living connection to the intelligence that breathes through all things. With time, you will realize that creativity and intuition were never external gifts to be sought. They were inner fires waiting for the right breath to awaken them. As with any deep spiritual or physiological practice, the South American shamanic breathing technique demands respect. It may appear simple, just breathing, but it is powerful medicine. Shamans approach this work with humility, understanding that the same breath that awakens light can also stir what has been hidden. When practiced carelessly or without preparation, it can bring forth sensations or emotions that feel overwhelming. The purpose here is not to frighten you, but to prepare you for responsible engagement with this sacred art. The first challenge many face is physical intensity. During the circular breathing phase, tingling in the hands or face, lightheadedness or emotional surges are common. These are signs that energy is moving through blocked pathways. If at any moment it feels too strong, simply slow your breathing or return to normal. Never force yourself to continue through pain or panic. The ancient shamans understood that transformation arises through surrender, not strain. People with respiratory, cardiovascular, or neurological conditions should consult a healthcare professional before attempting this technique. Likewise, pregnant individuals or those with a history of trauma should begin gently, ideally under guidance from a trained breathwork facilitator. Shamans always emphasized the role of the teacher, not as an authority, but as a guardian of safety and balance. Emotional challenges can also surface. The breath can awaken buried memories or unresolved feelings. If tears come, let them. If anger or fear arises, witness it without judgment. These emotions are not regressions. They are releases. In shamanic understanding, each exhale carries not only carbon dioxide, but the energetic residue of the past. By allowing these releases, you make space for renewal. If at any point emotions feel unmanageable, grounding yourself by touching the earth, placing a hand on your heart, or drinking water can help restore balance. Respect for the roots of this practice is equally important. South American shamanic breathing is not a modern invention, but a sacred lineage. Its methods were carried by elders who treated the breath as a living deity. Approaching this practice with cultural sensitivity, acknowledging its indigenous origins, expressing gratitude, and avoiding commercial or superficial use honors that lineage. True shamanic work is never about personal power. It is about harmony with life itself. Finally, remember that spiritual awakening is a gradual process. The mystic state is not a prize to chase, nor is creative inspiration something to force. Some sessions will feel transcendent, others may feel ordinary. Both are equally valuable. The breath will reveal what you are ready to see, when you're ready to see it. Trust its wisdom. If practiced with patience, reverence, and self-awareness, the South American shamanic breathing technique becomes not just a tool, but a companion, a sacred rhythm guiding you through the seasons of your growth. The breath is the oldest prayer, the first sound we make upon entering this world, and the last whisper we release when we depart. Everything in between, the moments of fear, of joy, of creativity, is shaped by how we breathe. The South American shamans understood this truth long before modern science began to measure it. Through the breath, they spoke with the earth, healed the wounded, and unlocked visions that guided their tribes. That same sacred power now rests in you. You don't need to climb a mountain or sit in a temple to access it. You need only to remember, to breathe with awareness, to honor the life moving through you, and to trust the intelligence of stillness. When you begin practicing this technique, you awaken an ancient rhythm hidden in your DNA. You reconnect with the pulse of the planet itself. Each inhale becomes a renewal. Each exhale, a release. Over time, you will find that intuition sharpens, creativity flows more freely, and calm strength replaces anxiety. So take this as your invitation. Set aside a few minutes today. Find your quiet space, close your eyes, and let your breath guide you back home to yourself. The mystic state isn't somewhere distant. It lives within your lungs, your heart, your awareness. Through the breath, you are already connected to all that you seek. If this teaching resonates with you, share it. Breathe with others. Help spread the remembrance that creativity, intuition, and healing are not luxuries. They are our birthright. The shamans knew that when one person breathes consciously, the whole world breathes a little easier. Let that be your gift. Begin now